With the release of Foundations, now's the perfect time to get the people you know and love into Magic, and start the foundations of a crippling cardboard addiction. Some say a game of Commander is the best way to teach people Magic, but honestly, with all the beginner-friendly material that Foundations brings, I'd say something Foundations adjacent is the way to go, like a pre-release for example. And while I think I know how to play Magic, some people might disagree with that, I still went down to my local game store to play the new set, pull some heat, and maybe win some packs. Before we get into the opening, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what your least favorite card from the set is. Everyone can ramble on forever about their favorites, but I want to see what makes your blood boil. Alright, welcome to Foundations Prerelease. We're here, we're cracking open. Hello! Let's see what we got here. We have the whole gang. We have, stun counters, 1/1 counters. We have a blue Foundations die with the nice little star. We're going to save the pre-release card for later. I saw it's blue something, so maybe we'll dip into blue. We have our packs. We have a little... Ooh, Edict. Not bad, not bad. Gonna gaze into here. Cool card. Alright, so we have our little guide for how to build a deck, which probably is a very good thing to have, especially for Foundations being a newer set for new players. So let's see what we get here. So, we have Elementalist Adept, we have a Luminous Rebuke, Gorehorn Raider, Hungry Ghoul, he's slobbering, Giant Growth, let me zoom this out a little bit, there we go. We have Giant Growth, we have Quick Draw Katana, we have Soul Shackled Zombie, we have the Grappling Kraken, Ravenous Amulet, Balmor Battle Mage Captain for a multicolor, ooh, Mossborn Hydra for our first rare. Doubling Season!
Doubling Season!
Oh god, we have to jam this probably. Blanchwood Armor. And the art card for...
A guest?
Oh, ooh, we got Fiend... Let me see, sir. Fiend Artisan over here as a special guest in the set. Very cool with the Ikoria art style. And Blanchwood Armor. Okay. So I guess we're going to try to force Doubling Season if we can't find something else.
I mean, there's worse plans.
I mean, who runs enchantment removal? Let's be real here. We have a Bushwhack back from Brothers War, Light Shell Duo from, I think, Bloomborough, Cathar Commando from Midnight Hunt, Courageous Goblin, Vampire Soulcaller, Ambush Wolf, Goldvein Pick, Prideful Parent, Reassembling Zombie, Heartfire Immolator, Micromancer, Flamewake Phoenix back from, I think, like, Kanzatark here, Preposterous Proportions, 10/10 Vigilance bumped to the whole board, alright. Scoured Barons and the Dragon Token.
We'll see if I get the other half. Oh, half of it. You got the uncommon part. Yeah. Wait, no, that's not the combo. Holy. No, you're right, it's not. That initiates the combo. It's super cool. Oh no!
Alright.
The sickest goblin.
We have a Goblin Surprise, everyone's favorite surprise. Eden Alive, Gnarlid Colony, Refute, Healer's Hawk, Involuntary Employment, another Goldvein pick. Garrick's Uprising, nice hit for green. Skyship Buccaneer, Twin Blade Blessing. Slagstorm is a rare. Board wipe or 3 to each player. Progenitus, okay.
Oh, Progenitus. Oh, hi, Progenitus.
Cool, I don't know how I'm getting him out. Overrun is a foil. And the art card for Sphinx of...
Progenitus?
Sphinx of Forgotten Lore, the fancy art.
Oh, we got Kaido.
Hey, Kaido from Evan Fong, nice.
Do not think we can play it, but hey, we got it.
We got Coma's Coil in the back here for a token.
For your Doubling Season.
Oh, dude, I pulled him first pack with Doubling Season. Yeah, we're cooking. Uncharted Voyage, Vanishing Light, Axeguard Cavalry, Bake into a Pie, some nice black removal, Broken Wings, Strix Lookout, Prideful Parent once again, Treetop Snare Spinner, Resolute Reinforcements, Mischievous Mystic, Divine Resilience, Abyssal Harvester, Cure the Rising Tide as a nice little way to draw and discard some stuff and then eventually make a dude. We are getting some interesting things to cook with here. Bloodfell Caves is on another land, and the Sign of the Deep token to go with Kiora. Very, very cool there. Alright, we got 2 more packs here. We have a nice treasure token in the back. We have a Sure Strike, Fake Your Own Death. Nice way, I think good reprint from OTJ, it looks like. We have a Bite Down, nice green removal spell. Let me move this over here. Fleeting Distraction, Make Your Move, Crackling Cyclops, Spitfire Lagac, Ruby Daring Tracker, pretty nice for a nice little ramp tool. Brineborn Cutthroat,
Dwining Guiltleaf Dayan, I think downgraded to uncommon. Zombify, cool reanimation spell. Elenda, Saint of Dusk. Hair Apparent Foil that apparently is like going for mad money because people want 1 billion of these for their decks. Full Art Mountain, the Food Treasure backside token. We have one more card here to look at, or one more pack here to look at. We have ourselves a Vanguard Seraph, Goblin Borders, Infestation Sage, Grow from Ashes, Tolarian Terror getting reprinted, very nice. Sanguine Siphoner, Icewind Elemental, Angel Finality, Rex Sage, very cool reprint, Arbiter of Woe, Mischievous Pup, Painful Quandary, a Foil Banishing Light, a Swamp, and what is this? The Soul Shackled Zombie. And we have one last card to look at. It's our pre-release promo. We have ourselves Lunar Insight. Draw a card for each different mana value among non-land permanents you control. I don't know if this is going to make it into the list. We are definitely playing probably playing some counter nonsense here, but I'm not sure if season is going to be good enough, but maybe it will be. We'll figure something out here. So yeah, we have the insight here. I'll be back with deck building to show you what we have cooked up.
Alright, so the big question following any pre-release poll is, what do we make? Doubling Season and Progenitus definitely look tantalizing. Unfortunately, their popularity was built off of the grindy nonsense that is Commander, and while some card pulls can encourage that level of bull, we don't quite have the enablers for them. We have all of 2 ramp cards towards the Progenitus pile, and maybe 3 counter creators to help make Doubling Season worthwhile. So as much as I'd love to say we pulled it off in pre-release, we just don't have the foundations for those game plans. If we gloss our eyes over to the rest of our rares and mythics, the Green Hydra is probably good enough on its own, but I don't know if the rest of our green pool is enough to make it happen. Now, Flamewake Phoenix is definitely something that could be worth going into red, or at least splashing red for. Flyers are the bane of limited players around the world, and a flyer that can recur itself for easy damage is definitely worth the include. In the same breath of our green pile being a little undernourished, Preposterous Proportions would be great if we had more of a go wide bend, but we don't quite have the tools to tolerate that tactic. Slagstorm is another good reason to play red, since board wipes tend to be pretty sparse in limited formats, and the alternate option to put the damage to the opponent rather than their board can help close out the game. Abyssal Harvester is a fine 3-drop that can incidentally make kill spells or even combat trades into advantage for us. The new Kiora is just good card draw, can help get that Flamewake into the yard, and the late game can leave behind an enormous 8/8. Now, Elenda looks like a house of a card. Lifelink to stay in the game, hexproof from the most common removal option, and eventually gains menace and doubles her stat line. If you decide to play black-white, this would be a foundational piece to justifying that decision, and I couldn't blame you. Painful Quandary's bad. Like, it was bad in Brothers War, it's bad here in Limited too. I can see the use case. A 5 mana, punish your opponent for not having card draw in their deck, but I don't think it finds a spot in your Limited deck. And our last rare, Lunar Insight, isn't bad, but requires a heavy amount of setup to draw more than 2 or 3 cards. But obviously, most rares and mythics can only get you so far. Unless you're Oko, Thief of Crowns, that motherfucker does everything. Removal is the next thing to look at, and frankly, white and black are the only colors that are giving mostly unconditional removal. Double Banishing Light, Eaten Alive, Luminous Rebuke, Bake into a Pie. While some of these I don't think I'd want to play, it's definitely better than the other meager options we have from the other colors. Bite Down is dependent on keeping a board to remove stuff, and Broken Wings is not only expensive, it's very niche for the removal it covers. Slagstorm is definitely nice in red, but that's about all the removal we have there. Blue has Uncharted Voyage, but that's also like all the removal we got from blue. We could have some fast ramp plays with green plus something, maybe get the Hydra down, but the lack of solid removal and needing to rely on staying on the ground is going to backfire pretty heavily. We have some okay flyers in late game in blue, but I don't feel confident enough saying we have enough early game to justify going into it. So yes, ultimately we go with Orzhov. A bunch of removal spells, a bit of recursion, and a surprising amount of low-cost creatures to create a foundation in the early game, all to get into the late game with Elenda, and a 6-drop flyer in Arbiter of Woe, both of which we can summon back with Zombify or add back to the grip with Soulcaller.
Alright, so what do we come up with after all of that nonsense? We have 2 approaches here that we're taking, actually. We're doing the old, if one doesn't work out game 1, we might just swap over to the other in game 2. So we have to start with a black-white, kind of grindy, removal-heavy, top end with Elenda, Arbiter of Woe, Abyssal Harvester to get back stuff from the graveyard, and a lot of 2-drops to have early pressure as well as a lot of removal. Double Banishing Light, Luminous Rebuke, Resilience to help protect the board, Eaten Alive is good removal, and also just a very nice mana base kind of leveled out. 1 Scoured Barrens, 8 Plains, 8 Swamps. This is peak limited Magic where you just have a really good pool. It's like, well, I'd like to play the funny stuff, but I gotta go with what's actually gonna win. But I couldn't stay away from memeing a little bit with green. I couldn't justify putting in Doubling Season, but Mossborn Hydra and Flameweak Phoenix with Ruby definitely made it a little worthwhile. Try for this teamer strategy, or really more Simic Splash Red We got Slagstone for good removal. We have a lot of good removal for Refute, Uprising for Trample inevitably in the late game, Grow from the Ashes for ramp, Bite Down for removal, as well as eventually just topping on some big guys. We get Declaring Terror, Kraken, the Light Shell duo, Fjord, so eventually making an 8-8 potentially. We have a lot of options here potentially, so maybe if we don't get the dub with the Orzhov deck, we swap over to the Teamer deck and see where we go from there. So maybe we do some swaps, maybe we don't, but I had the chance to build 2 decks, so I was going to take that opportunity. So let's see how we do after round 1.
Round 1 into the Orzhov mirror against fellow cardboard content connoisseur Chris from Cirrus MTG. Check out his stuff here. I end up snatching it in a pretty clean 2-out. Game 1 keeps a suspect 2-lander, but it works itself out. It also helped that while he had a Banishing Light to answer our Elenda, I can drop my own Banishing Light in response to deal with his Banishing Light. With the help of the Double Strike enchantment, Elenda quickly got out of hand and climbed us up to 40 life before we found an opening and went for the kill. Game 2 keeps another 2-lander, but in my defense, the removal, the Elf Token Maker, and the slightly worse Carrion Feeder helped get over the line to make this foundational tournament match a clean 2-out. Round 2 into another Orzhov mirror versus Steven. We have another suspect start, but I just ripped the 3rd land because unlike everyone else, I'm not plagued by skill issues. In game 1, I managed to stick enough token guys to clog the board into an awkward Mexican standoff. One thing I did note down was getting duressed, and the only really impactful things in my hand to get rid of were the 3/3 Surveil Angel and the Double Strike enchantment. He chooses the Double Strike, which was a little strange to me even in the moment, and he even realized after the fact he probably should have hit the Angel, which gets us eyes in the sky to take game 1. Game 2 is another similar token strat with low lands. Jesus, I put 17 lands into this list. It's literally the perfect land to non-land ratio. Anyway, it's another token start, but it claws its way out to our second 2-0 of the evening by way of Removal Central. Round 3 is against Andre on Simic. Game 1 is a very grindy back and forth that stalls on my end because I can't find creatures to save my life. I had plenty of removal for his bomb scavenging enchantment to his creatures, but ultimately I get beaten down by a pitiful flying 1/1 Spectral Sailor that starts drawing him 2 cards a turn. By the time I can stick Elenda in play to maybe make a foundation for myself, he's found removal. But what removal, you ask? The most you really have is that Black Exile spell that you play and maybe Bite Down, which you also could have played. Ah yes, but remember Banishing Light? Blue gets some effective non-instant creature removal in this set, in this game, turning her away from the clergy and into the office space with Witness Protection. She's stuck as a 1/1 that I can't surreptitiously trick him into killing, making this zombified dead in my grip. So he ultimately walks away with game 1. Game 2 goes much faster. I mull to 5, and Andre goes, pre-game action? I go, pre-game actions, and he slams the Leyline Axe. Let me tell you, this axe is kind of ridiculous and limited. Double strike and trample, and 20% of the time it just comes down for free. If you don't have an answer to it, like I somehow missed out with, and they have any sort of early drop, like he did with Campus Guide, you are in for a world of hurt. By the time I could deal with the guide, he already had another guy ready to pick up the axe, clearing me 2-0 and rooting my dreams of finally going undefeated at a Giga's pre-release. But good game nonetheless. I can't really do much when the deck is actively refusing to get out of bed on time. And finally, round 4 versus Jack on Gruul. A 2-0 for me in the worst way possible, where I got to play the game and Jack just got stuck. Game 1, he gets stuck on all red, no green, and I get to have a fun little time removing his stuff, keeping the board and doing all the things Orzhov loves and everyone else hates. Game 2 got kinda worse for him. I get to slam turn 1 Healer Sock, objectively the best card in Magic, and as it pecks his eyes out, he can't find a 5th land for Vivian Reed to maybe find a different creature to get him out of this. Nor can he find a Reacher or Flyer to deal with the Hawk. So even if he had something to deal with the ground game of Abyssal Persecutor and his gaggle of Nightmare tokens, I could still throw pennies from the skyscraper to eventually get the win. So once again, a 3-1 pre-release leaves us with 4 packs to crack open. I never really had an excuse to break out the Teamer deck though. Honestly, it wasn't even that great when I played some games against Chris after our pre-release match round 1. On the one hand, I really like Foundations and see why people are calling it Standard Masters. The reprints go insanely hard, the new stuff is definitely interesting, and most games I played at least feel like a solid back and forth. My only real dilemma is that it feels like a lot of the hard removal is tied to black-white, meaning that a lot of people at pre-release were jamming those colors. You have some in the rest of the pie, but more than likely you'll be seeing or playing a lot of Orzhov in the coming months of Limited. Kinda wish there were more options across the rest of the pie that felt worth making inclusions for. There's some aspects I've grown out of, like thinking the infinite combo include was a bad idea. With the benefit of hindsight and seeing some more discussion about it, I do like that the new Jimmy's First Magic set isn't babying the player base. Yeah, it might suck to get comboed out in your first couple games of Limited, but let's be real. Weren't we already comboing our friends out of the stratosphere when we taught them how to play using Commander? So overall, if you want to give your friends a foundation to start playing Magic, throw them here, jam some games, and then push them into the 15-story drop that is the rest of Magic. I hope you enjoyed the pre-release coverage. I've been Josh from the Cardboard Kitchen. Like the video, comment your least favorite card from the set, and subscribe to keep up with all of the cardboard related content I put out. But until next time, always remember to hold up some mana to flash a response for Elenda.